Morning, I'm joined by political correspondent at The Sun, Martina Bett, and broadcaster Gemma Forte. So welcome back to both of you. And we're kicking off with the really grim news, which is our lead story today, and the continuing search for people in the Texas floods, Gemma. The newspapers are already out of date, and the death toll a lot higher than is being reported, because we've had updated figures overnight, 51 dead, and still the search goes on for an unspecified number of people. Yeah,
unfortunately, there may be more as people search, as you say. This is horrific. So, children staying at this Christian summer camp, the rainfall, it's quite astonishing. So the Guadalupe River burst its banks, having risen 26 feet in 45 minutes. I think that's hard for us to imagine.
Yeah, it's 8 metres for people who think in metric.
The rain was sheet. So essentially, these poor little souls and many adults, all sorts of people, were swept off. And so the search is ongoing. So there's a few things to talk about here. Obviously, people are going to want answers to why they didn't have better warning, for starters. When you look into it, DOGE, which of course was headed up by Elon Musk, he did gut the National Weather Service and got rid of 600 people that worked for it, so arguably understaffed there. And also, it's so sad, but Texas as a state and the senators there have downplayed the severity of climate change. And it's quite interesting that Grok, which is Musk's AI, itself does explain one of the causes as climate change. It's sadly just undeniable. This weather is so extreme, so bizarre, and it's completely tragic. You can only imagine the horror of these parents waiting to find out if one of their children has gone missing.
Absolutely, really agonising for them. And there will be questions, won't there, being asked, Martina, and some suggestions that perhaps weather warnings did go out, but was the response too slow to evacuate people close to the river? The authorities, meanwhile, also saying they didn't expect the intensity of the downpour. And again, amidst all this, warnings that there could be more rain to come, which could hit some of these affected areas.
Absolutely. I think what we're seeing is the classic post-disaster blame game, right? And as Gemma mentioned, Texas officials have started blaming the fact that the National Weather Service had basically underplayed the amount of rain. It was a botched forecast. I think they had forecast 4 to 8 inches of rain, and then it turned out 10 in just a few hours. And, you know, the reason for that, they're saying that Donald Trump, of course, has slashed the funding for the National Weather Service. But it's quite interesting because, of course, there's Republican officials that are blaming this, but at the same time, I think they need to tread quite carefully because, of course, they need the federal money. So it'll be quite interesting to see how, in the next day, like, you know, where the blame goes. Like,
yeah, exactly. And in the meantime, we still wait for news of those missing. Take us on to the front of the Sunday Mirror next, Gemma, because we were reflecting on this yesterday, the funeral of Diogo Jota and his brother in Portugal, again making the front pages today with obviously his family absolutely devastated, and his teammates as well arriving in Portugal for that.
I know, your thoughts go to all of the family, the little children, the wife, the parents of these two brothers. We were saying, I mean, just for them, absolutely traumatic that their sons were just gone as a result of this car crash. They were driving a Lamborghini. People are looking into what happened. They think a tyre burst, etc. It's fantastic to see Liverpool as a club stepping up to the plate, in making sure that the wife knows they're going to fulfil his contract entirely, make sure she's financially looked after, doesn't have to think about anything like that. And I think you see it at a time like this, you know, football clubs are such communities, and the strength of feeling behind the players and how much people adore them. There is some controversy about the fact that Ronaldo didn't attend. His sort of spokespeople, people who are sticking up for him, are saying, well, it would have drawn too much attention and he didn't want to make it about him. But arguably, it wasn't about him, but it would have been good to see him there as such an important sort of figure in Portugal and Portuguese football. I feel like David Beckham would attend and assume that it wouldn't be about him if it was a
comparable thing. Certainly plenty of high-profile footballers were there, weren't they?
Yes.
And of course, the Liverpool manager as well. we're running a bit short of time, but there is a subject that has occupied us, certainly in the break, that we're going to move on to. And this is the size of bags that you can take on planes.
That's right.
There's an article on the front of the Sun suggesting that 8 agents, I think they call them, the people that you go past before you go onto the plane, might get incentives if they manage to catch you out with a bag that's too big.
It's not that much of a bonus. It's £1.20
Per bag.
per bag. But I think the story kind of sums up modern air travel because we know that air companies don't make much money from the tickets. Companies like Ryanair and EasyJet, they make money out of all the little extras, and this is just an example of that, and it just shows how much they actually rely on those extras. I was going through the comment section from the Times, and actually so many people were so much in support of this because they were saying they haven't got space for their bags. So
we've run out of time. We could probably talk about this for quite a lot of the morning, but we will have passionate thoughts about the size of your bag on a plane, but we're out of time. Lovely to have your company, both of you, this morning, though. Nice to see you. Thank you.
Turkey is burying its dead.